On your quiz tomorrow, it will be 10 questions. They are all free response. The first 4 questions will look like this, okay? This is what the first 4 will look like. They're going to give you an equation in vertex form. Okay, see how this equation is in vertex form? Then below the equation, it will say vertex, and it will give you a little place to write your vertex. It will say opens, and then it will say up or down, and you will circle which one. And then it'll say vertical shrink or vertical stretch, and you will circle whichever one is correct. So let's try number 2. Just going by this equation, tell me what you know. Like, what does this x minus 4 in parentheses tell you about the vertex? Correct. That will shift the vertex right 4. And what does the plus 5 on the outside do to the vertex? Up 5. So just visualize that you have a vertex point, and from the origin it goes right 4, up 5. Where is it now sitting? At 4, 5. So that's the vertex. Now, going by this equation, is this parabola going to open up or down? Up. How do we know that? There's not a negative sign out front. Okay, had this been a negative 17, it would have opened down. And then, judging by this equation, is this going to be a shrink or a stretch? A stretch. Because if you have a number larger than 1, it's a stretch. Because when you try to stretch somebody out, the parabola will get skinnier, right? Or the person will get skinnier. Now, say that you can't do all that by just looking at the equation. Well, good for you. You have a calculator. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to go into the calculator to y equals, and you need to graph it. 17, parenthesis, x minus 4, parenthesis squared, and then plus 5. Once you have a picture of it, I really hope you'll be able to identify these things. The vertex is at 4, 5. To get to this vertex, don't you have to go right 4, up 5? It opens up, obviously, and then it got skinnier, which is a stretch, because when you try to stretch somebody out, they get skinnier. If you tried to shrink them down, their fat would go sideways so they get wider, correct? Alright, now let's try one more like that. But remember, there's 4 on the quiz like this. So to me, those 4 should be pretty easy. So let's try number 5. So, first they want the vertex. You're just watching right now. We've already done these problems. Then they want to know if it's going to open up or down. You would circle one or the other, not both. And then they want to know if it's a vertical shrink or stretch. You would circle one or the other, not both. So first let's try to do it just from the equation without graphing it. What does this x minus 3 inside do to the vertex? Right 3. And what does the minus 9 do to it? Down 9. So if you're sitting at the origin, 0, 0, and then all of a sudden that vertex moves right 3, down 9, what coordinate is that? 3, negative 9. Okay, is this parabola going to open up or down? Down, because the negative tells it to open down. Is it going to shrink or stretch? Stretch. I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking negative 2 is less than 0. You don't really care about the negative at this point. You only look at the number. Is 2 bigger than 1 or less than 1? Bigger. So stretch. Numbers that would be shrink are like if this had like a 1/2 out front, or a 1/3, or any fraction between 0 and 1. Yeah, unless the number out front is a fraction between 0 and 1. It's a shrink. Right, right. Okay, so that's what the first 4 questions look like. Then after that, you'll move into questions that look like this. And there's 3 of these, and you have to take it from vertex form to standard form. So just watch. We've already done these. You've already got these done in your packet. I'm just reminding you how to do them. To change this from vertex form to standard, the first thing you would do is rewrite it. But when you're rewriting x plus 2 squared, we want to literally write x plus 2 times x plus 2, because that's what that means. Okay, and the reason we do that is so that in the very next step, I can FOIL that, or double distribution, whatever you want to call it. X times x is x squared, x times 2 is 2x, 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 2 is 4. And then plus 5 will come down. So now for the final step, I just combine like terms. X squared is the only square term. 2x plus 2x can combine to 4x, and 4 plus 5 can combine to 9. That is now in standard form, because remember standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. Your a is 1, your b is 4, your c is 9. Now once you've changed it from one form to the other, how can you check to make sure you did it right? You graph both of them. If I graph the original, y equals x plus 2 squared, and then plus 5. And then I go down to y2, and I graph x squared plus 4x plus 9. And now watch. When I graph them, the first one will graph in blue, and then the second one will graph in red. Blue, and then all of a sudden it became red. That means I did it right because it makes the exact same parabola. Remember, these are the exact same equations. They're just in different formats. Kind of like 1/2 and 0.5 are the exact same number, just two different ways to write it. Okay, now let's try one more like this. Number 2. To change this from vertex to standard, this time you have a 5 out front. But you're not going to mess with it yet. First, you're going to take care of the x plus 3 squared by writing it twice. And remember, the reason we write it twice is because we're about to do what? Distribute. And distributing that to that will not affect this 5 or the minus 4, correct? We'll deal with those later. So when we distribute this, x times x is x squared, x times 3 is 3x, 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 3 is 9. Now in the next step, I'm still not going to mess with that 5 on the outside or the 4 on the outside, because I can do one more thing to simplify that. And what is it? Combine like terms. So x squared plus 6x plus 9. Now I'm ready to distribute that 5 to everything. 5 times x squared is 5x squared. 5 times 6x is 30x. 5 times 9 is 45. But then don't forget about that minus 4, which will make the final answer 5x squared plus 30x plus 41. Ax squared plus bx plus c. And then of course, just like always, you can check it, and you better. Graph this one, make sure they match. If it doesn't give you the same parabola, work it again. Okay? They're not multiple choice, that's why I didn't make it multiple choice. So I want to see how many people actually know how to do the work. On the test, a lot of these will be multiple choice, and you could just type that one in, type in A, B, C, and D, see which one matches it. But sometimes typing all that in takes just as long as doing the work. Okay? But 10. Remember, there's 4 like this. There's 3 like this. And then the remaining 3 are like the ones we're going over right now, where you have to change it from standard to vertex. Okay, so yesterday we didn't do number 9, right? So let's start with it. Pay attention. So now is where you actually need to start writing. But like always, if you want to watch me do it, I'll give you time to copy at the end, okay? So y equals. The first thing you do is rewrite it. But remember, we leave a blank in between your linear term and your constant term. Then the next step is to factor out the a value. What is the a value for this one? A -1. So you're going to factor out a -1. Now remember, that doesn't affect this -19. It's kind of like pushed to the side until the very end. When you factor out a negative 1, what does it leave? Look, when you factor out a negative 1, you're dividing negative 1 from everything. So what's negative 1x squared divided by negative 1? Positive 1x squared, right? And what's negative 6x divided by negative 1? Positive 6x. And then plus blank. Now to fill in the blank, this is the one thing I will give you on the board. You do b over 2 squared to fill in the blank. So now that we factored out a negative 1, what is our b value? 6. So when you take 6 and divide it by 2, you get a, and when you square through, you get a 9. Well, remember, then you got to balance things out. But look, what do we really have on this side? A 9 times a negative 1, which is a negative 9. So to balance things, you need to add 9. Because to balance out a negative 9, you do the opposite, you add 9. So now we have y equals negative 1, and I'm ready to factor that. And over here, I can now combine those. What's negative 19 plus 9? Negative 10. And now to get x squared, you do x times x. And then what was your b divided by 2? 3. And aren't 3 and 3 the numbers that multiply to 9 and also add to 6? And then for your final step, all you have to do is rewrite everything. But instead of writing that twice, you write it once so that it looks like vertex form. And you square it, because there's 2 of them. Now, like always, you can check it by graphing this one and graphing that one and making sure they make the same parabola. Okay, I want you to try one. You're going to try number 12. What's currently in the C place? A 0. Okay, so now try it. I'm going to give you a big hint for tomorrow. Say that you have no idea how to do any of that work. Okay? Say that you don't know how to do any of that work. You could still possibly get this answer. Think about it. You know how to graph it?
I know how.
Y equals negative, no, it's not multiple choice. Negative x squared minus 4x. Can y'all just listen for a second? Negative x squared minus 4x. You can type in plus 0, but you don't have to. Didn't the vertex shift left 2 and up 4? Well, don't you represent left 2 with an x plus 2 inside parentheses? And then up 4 with a plus 4 on the outside? Plus 2 represents left 2. Plus 4 represents up 4. However, you have to remember whatever the a value is has to be down in the front. Now let me say this. If this is all you write, and you get any part of it wrong, the whole thing's wrong. If you write this and you maybe got this wrong, but you did all your work and I see where you went wrong and got this wrong, I'll give you partial credit. So if you at least attempt this way, but then check it with the calculator, I'll give you partial credit if there's some mistakes. But if you skip all this work and try to go straight from the calculator to here and get any part of it wrong, there's no partial credit. Okay, so just remember, you have to look at the shifts. To get to this vertex, you had to go left 2 and up 4. To represent left 2, it's x plus 2 inside parentheses. To go up 4, it's plus 4 outside. You have to make sure it's squared to make the parabola shape, and you have to make sure your a value is always out front. A is negative 1, so negative 1 better be there, or at least a negative. Like so over here. Let's try number 11 that way. Even though we did it yesterday, watch. Y equals 2x squared minus 24x plus 64. Hold on, I graphed it wrong. I forgot the 6 before the 4. Okay, so plus 64. Now when I graph it, I see that the parabola's vertex is way over here, so I'd have to count it out. That looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right 6. Well, wouldn't you represent right 6 inside parentheses with an x minus 6? Go ahead and square it to make the U shape. And then to get to that vertex, I have to go down It looks like 8 units, right? So that's represented with a -8. But you have to remember your A value always comes down. +2 will go right there. And isn't that what we got when we did it with our method yesterday? But just remember, if this is all I see tomorrow and any part of it's wrong, I can't give you partial credit because I didn't know where you went wrong. But if you have that and something's wrong, but you have all this work shown and I can show where you went wrong, I can give partial credit. Okay? Alright, so now, this is what I want you to be working on. I want you to work on 2, 4, and 10. 2, 4, and 10. So circle those at the top. And then at the bottom, please stop talking while I'm teaching. I want you to work on 24 and 25. So in the top section, 2, 4, and 10. The bottom section, 24 and 25. Now, if it's not finished, it will be homework. But for y'all, we still have 16 minutes left, so you should get the majority of it finished.